This is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing with Lifestyle Changes. Today, we're going to look at the fact that microplastics are everywhere and ways they can impact your health. Microplastics are all around us, whether we know it or not. They have been found all over the world, from the coral reefs and the Mariana Trench to Mount Everest and even the ice in Antarctica. We encounter microplastics in dust, trash, fabrics we wear, cosmetics, cleaning products, rain, seafood, produce, building supplies, even table salt. But this might surprise you even more. Microplastics are also found throughout our bodies, from our brain, circulatory system, and our organs to our actual tissues and cells. Yes, these microplastics are even within the human reproductive system, not only being found in placentas and breast milk, but also in testes and semen. It's clear to see that microplastics is a problem we must deal with if we are to stay healthy. Did you know that 2.4 tons of plastic garbage are dumped in our ocean each year? Many are plastic-coated fibers that pollute our soil and water. The problem with plastics is that they don't decompose. They only break down into smaller pieces. Now, according to Stanford Medicine, microplastics can accumulate in the body over time. Some microplastics may be excreted through the digestive tract, but smaller particles called nanoplastics can enter our bloodstream and remain in the body for longer periods, especially in sensitive organs like the brain and in our tissues. This means we may take in more than we can excrete. A team of researchers led by Philip Democritou, director of the Environmental Health Nanoscience Laboratory at the Harvard Chan School, found that nanoplastics can enter our cells in two different ways and can actually penetrate to the cell nuclei. Now I have your attention. The medical community is becoming more knowledgeable regarding microplastics and issues in the body. They now know that 4 out of 5 people have microplastics in their blood. And as already mentioned, microplastics have been detected in every human organ, including the brain, the liver, the kidneys, and again, even breast milk and placentas. Now, according to an article published by the Harvard Chan School of Public Health, microplastics is more than pollution. It's also a pressing human health issue. What is worse is we don't know what the accumulation of these plastics in our bodies might mean for us. Research points to potentially serious issues, including cardiovascular disease, cancers, respiratory disorders, inflammatory bowel diseases, as well as dizziness and neurological symptoms. The smaller the particle, the deeper it can go into our bodies. So let's look at what impact microplastics can have in our bodies. Are you ready? How about microplastics in the heart and in the blood? Harvard Medical School found that your risk of heart disease or stroke goes up by 450% if you have microplastics in your blood. when researchers at Harvard tested the plaque removed from the neck arteries of 257 patients. They found tiny particles of plastic, mostly polyethylene and polyvinyl chloride, in 58% of these people. A new study finds that people with microplastics in the plaque clogging their neck arteries were far more likely to have a heart attack or stroke than people with plastic-free plaque. Now, could this be related to the continuing rise of heart disease? Well, we don't know for sure, but more research needs to be done. Can microplastics and toxins actually raise blood sugar? Now, I never thought about this until my husband and I went on a walk with a trusted friend and neighbor. You see, her husband was having a hard time controlling his type 2 diabetes. And his doctor finally told him he needed to lower his toxic load because that was part of the problem. Now, research at the University of Michigan found that microplastic-related toxins in our food can give us a 63% higher rate of type 2 diabetes. Many doctors are now seeing that toxins in our bodies can have an impact on our blood sugar, and microplastics are just one of those toxins. How about microplastics in the reproductive system? We've already talked a little bit about this, but according to an article in Harvard Public Health, the average American eats, drinks, and breathes in more than 70,000 microplastic particles each year. A recent study from a birthing center in Hawaii showed that 6 in 10 placentas tested from pregnant women contained detectable levels of microplastics in the year 2006, but that same study in 2021 showed that all 10 placentas had detectable levels of microplastics. Microplastics have also been found, as I mentioned before, in human breast milk and also in the infant's first stool called the meconium. This means that babies are born today with plastics in their bodies. How about microplastics in your brain? Well, research at the University of New Mexico found that microplastics build up in your brain at 7 to 30 times higher concentrations than they do in other organs. Studies has also shown that the frontal cortex contains higher concentrations of microplastics compared to other organs like the liver and the kidneys. It's known that microplastics can cross the blood-brain barrier. Microplastics may also accumulate in fat cells, as do all toxins, and the brain contains a lot of fat. These fat cells are part of the brain's insulating myelin sheath, which helps regulate signal transmission. Now, keep in mind that neurological diseases such as ALS and multiple sclerosis have causes related to the disintegration of this myelin sheath, especially multiple sclerosis. Some studies suggest that microplastic concentrations may be higher in the brains of people with dementia, particularly within cerebrovascular walls and immune cells. While the liver and the kidneys appear to clear some plastic particles, the brain's ability to expel these particles remains unclear. What is clear is that groundbreaking research shows that microplastics are accumulating in the brain at alarming levels, with concentrations increasing over time and potentially linked to dementia. Something to think about. Definitely, again, more research needs to be done. Polyethylene is the most common type of plastic found in the brain, which is used in plastic bags and in food packaging. What about microplastics and the kidneys? A study performed by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, suggests that microplastics caused mitochondrial dysfunction, endoplasmic reticulum or ER stress, inflammation, and autophagy in kidney cells, and accumulated in HK2 cells and in the kidneys of mice. These results suggest that long-term polystyrene and microplastic exposure may be a risk factor for kidney health. What about microplastics and cancer? Microplastics can enter the body through inhalation, which is eating food and drinking, and through the products we put on our skin. Microplastics are a growing concern because some studies suggest they may contribute to cancer development through various mechanisms, including oxidative stress, DNA damage, and inflammation. Microplastics can also carry toxic pollutants that may have carcinogenic effects. Various studies have linked microplastics to various cancers, including lung, colon, breast, prostate, and liver cancers. Since some plastics contain BPA and BHA, which are endocrine disrupting hormones, there are also questions as to whether these can contribute to hormone-sensitive cancers. Definitely something to consider. According to Bernardo Lemos, an adjunct professor of environmental epigenetics at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, which is so widely esteemed, there are so many unknowns that we are seeing, but more data suggests microplastics affect human biology. Did you hear that? Microplastics affect human biology. Yes, we desperately need more research on the impact of microplastics in the human body. But as we've seen today, microplastics are all around us in the water we drink, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, and the air we breathe. Never forget, though, that our bodies have 5 filtering systems which help to protect our bodies from such things. I'm talking about the liver, the colon, the lungs, the kidneys, and our skin, which is our largest detox organ. The body primarily eliminates microplastics through urine and feces, with the liver and kidneys doing most of the work in this process. While sweat can eliminate some substances related to microplastics like BPA and BHA and phthalates, there's currently no definitive evidence that sweating itself can directly remove the microplastic particles. The problem is that we don't want to take in more microplastics than our body can detoxify and excrete. Plastics everywhere. Why should we care? Well, I've just given you several reasons. And my other videos on identifying types of plastics, unexpected ways we're being exposed to plastics, etc., will be referenced in the show notes below. With the amount of microplastics continuing to grow each year, we must have a plan to reduce our exposure. So stay tuned, because next time we'll explore 10 ways to reduce your exposure to microplastics. Why? Simply to protect your health. I hope this has been helpful information for you. I realize the more I research and study that microplastics could be behind many diseases in our country today. It might be just a contributing factor but it's definitely there and it definitely can have an impact. I hope you will subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like this video, share it, share it, share it. And be sure to check the notification bell so you will know when I post new information. Until next time, here's living a clean life and reducing your exposure to microplastics. And may God bless.